It's time. The D-backs are promoting Jordan Lawlar. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Thursday, September 7th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Chris the Welsh. And I can't think of anybody more qualified to talk about Jordan Lawlar. So let's do that. 6th overall pick in the 2021 draft. He's a 21-year-old shortstop. This year in the minors, he was batting .278 with 20 home runs, 36 steals, and an .874 OPS. That was across AA and AAA. He's 27% rostered. He's got 7 games next week with the D-backs. Welsh, where did Jordan Lawlar rank in your top 100 prospects, and what size leagues should we look to add him in fantasy?
Well, Jordan Lawlar is a top 5 overall prospect, and if you want to play the proximity game, you know where you can do that. The only guys ahead, I've obviously got Jackson Holliday, you've got Dylan Cruz, Junior Caminero, Jackson Churio, but the unique thing I would say is he belongs in that tier. It's a very good tier. Jackson Holliday might own his own, but Lawlar belongs in there for the season that he has put up. You mentioned the totality of his stats. Well, 15 homers, 33 stolen bases in AA this year. It is the PCL, but he went off and has hit .358 in the PCL, 5 more homers in only 16 games, 3 stolen bases. He's cut his strikeout percentage down, went in before the call-up with a 4-game multi-hit streak, and in September hitting .600 in the PCL. This is a guy that was pushing a 20-40 minor league season. He's aggressive on the base paths. He has real good raw power, and it's in-game power that's playing. Strikeouts were a problem a little bit more last year, and it's continuously cutting down. And guess what? The Diamondbacks had no offense. Nick Ahmed couldn't even hit 100, and they had to DFA him. Geraldo Perdomo has struggled a little bit just being impactful on offense. He's still just a great player and a great defender. But Torey Lovullo has said that Jordan Lawlar is going to play 100% of games against lefties. And they're going to try to get him in righties, which might also get him over to third base. So I see Jordan Lawlar playing most days. I think in a 12 team, he's borderlining on the must pickup. I'm picking him up in a 12 team for a middle infield spot. I think there are probably easily serviceable players or unserviceable players that you can just push right out and play the upside to the stolen base and the power potential on a team that is vying for a playoff spot. He's aggressive with players running, and it's a relatively hitter-friendly environment as well. I think Jordan Lawlar is a guy that you got to pick up for your playoff run. And if he doesn't work, you just swoop him right out and pick somebody else up, assuming you're still in your playoffs.
All right, so I think 12-team roto leagues, those are typically deeper formats, 300-plus players rostered in those leagues. You need a middle infield spot. I think in daily lineup category leagues, too, whenever Lawlar is in the lineup, you could just kind of slide him in there as well, especially if you're looking for power and speed. It was a big day of injuries. Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara, who was placed on the IL with a right forearm flexor strain retroactive to September 4th, and apparently he felt something on the last pitch he threw in his previous start. It's been a down season for Sandy Alcantara, but we're looking for starting pitcher replacements, and the 2 names that stand out from Wednesday, Jordan Wicks turned in the first quality start of his career. Looks like he's in line for 2 starts at the Rockies and at the D-backs next week. Hyunjin Ryu is the other one, and he allowed 2 runs over 5 innings at the Oakland A's. Also in line for 2 starts next week against the Rangers and the Red Sox. Welsh, can I interest you in either Ryu or Jordan Wicks?
You cannot, sir. I don't think I have a lot of interest. I would like to play Wicks out here. I think that changeup is great. He did have some velo drop in this last start, even though he was able to still go 6. But it like you couldn't lay out. You could lay out a little bit worse. But at Colorado and then at Arizona, those are absolute no's. Ryu's a problem because he's just not going deep enough into games, where I think that even makes him a little bit more susceptible for any little version of a blow up is going to just have inflated ratio. So I don't really like either one of them. I could just present to you one little side thing. Maybe look at Edward Cabrera, who's with the Marlins. He did not start. He came in relief. He went 4, walked only 2, struck out 8. And with Sandy going on the IL and him performing like he did and showing big improvements in AAA, maybe that's going to be a guy you could look at. You and I on the full show, if people check that out, we talked about some other options. Ryu and Wicks, not one of them.
Yeah, those other names, by the way, Jose Quintana, who we spoke about on yesterday's In 5 podcast, He looks like he's in line for 2 starts next week, better matchups as well. So do like Jose Quintana. Kyle Harrison looks like he's in line to face the Guardians next week. I think that's fine. And Kyle Hendricks, he's been rock solid. So if you're looking for Sandy Alcantara replacements, I think those 3 are probably at the top of the list. And a quick update on some outfield injuries. Adolis Garcia left his game with right knee discomfort. Jorge Soler was placed in the IL with a right oblique strain. So again, if you're looking for outfield replacements, we spoke a lot about Jason Dominguez. He's out there. He had another home run here on Wednesday. Seiya Suzuki, Nolan Jones, those guys are red hot as well. Nolan Jones, 7 games in Coors Field next week. So if you do need outfielders, those are the top 3 names to look at right now. We're going to wrap there. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.